welcome and thank you. I think media appreciation, it's super important. I think I've said this, I've tried to take opportunities to state that at the front end of every season and just how important coverage is for our league. A special shout out to the Westchester crew that's been here, right? Look around where we are now, and I appreciate you. And then the new media that's here too. Incredible storylines this season, not only here in New York, but across the league. You can feel the excitement, it's palpable. And so I'm just excited for what you all do and to see it. And then I'm not gonna lie, I'm low-key excited to see what you got on the court later too, because that should be pretty fun. So that's it. So I just want to say thank you. So with that, Brian, we can turn it over to Q&A. I'm happy to answer everything that I'm able to. Obviously, there's some things with league rules I'm not able to talk on, and we'll navigate that, but otherwise I'm happy to answer and help however I can.
All right, we'll get started with the lesson.
Hey Jonathan, how you doing? I hope you had a great not so off season. When you hear Liberty News, we hear a lot of first of its kind, and as the forward thinkers that this organization is, and when you look at what you guys have, coming out, can you just speak about the 2027, the practice facility, and also where do you guys think, what's the next step for the Liberty? Because again, the forward thinking, you guys are innovators and at the top of that in this league. So can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. First of all, I'm just incredibly humbled by our ownership's commitment. For them to green light this facility is everything. And I think for us, we always want to be standard setters. And I think that's a good goal. I don't think there's any shame in that. I think it's okay to say out loud. You go back to 2021, we took over the Islanders space here at Barclays Center, and we completely remodeled it. And at the time, this is 2021, I was like, oh wow, look what we did. And we set the standard. And then I think it was Las Vegas that said, hold on, and we're gonna open up this facility. And then you've got Seattle and Phoenix going down the line, right? That's exciting because it's raising the standards of our league. When we talk about and we look forward to our facility, I think, I know we'll do that again. And that's exciting. But guess what? Another team's going to come off of that and build something even better. And so that's the goal, isn't it? And I've long said, we want teams to take our playbook. I really mean it. Like, we want this league to be phenomenal, right? And so we learn from teams. And we try to better ourselves and our situation, and teams will learn from us the same exact way. In terms of forward thinking, I think it's just practical. You want to future-proof things as much as you can. This is really fun, right? We want to keep it going, and so we just have to be, cognizant of how to go about that and put ourselves in position. And I think building a facility like this is showing ownership's commitment not only to our players but our community. And it'll be a facility not seen before.
Thank you.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey.
Kind of a big picture question to start off. Obviously, there's so much focus on this year, but it feels like everyone's kind of thinking ahead about, 2026 could look a lot different, depending on what happens with the new CBA, which I know you can't specifically talk on. But as a GM, how do you start to think ahead for not just this year, but beyond, when there's still so much uncertainty about what the next wave of the league's growth could look like?
Great question. And, I think there is a lot of uncertainty, right? There's uncertainty about even how expansion will work next year and all of these things. And so we want to go about our business with what we know and try to anticipate where we can. I think we've got evidence of doing that. If you go back, I think you and I spoke about this during the finals, right? About us acquiring the rights to Rebecca Gardner at the time. And that was just a forward-thinking approach organizationally of anticipating an expansion draft and what that could mean for us. So I think where we can, we try to build for the future. We try to make things as sustainable as possible. I think if you look at our contract layout and who's under contract for 26 and beyond, we're really happy with those players and excited where we'll be kind of starting next year. And when I say next year, talking about the off season. But yeah, we go about it. We try to make this as sustainable as we can with the rules that we know are in place. And then also try to fill in the gray areas of what could be. But we don't want to just go off of possibility. We want to go off of what we know.
Jonathan, when you think about the number of players who are going to be unrestricted free agents next year, how do you prioritize, or what are the priorities when you think ahead? I know you kind of just mentioned some vague things, but specifically, how are you thinking about just being an intriguing landing spot when you know so many players are going to be available?
Yeah, I think you're gonna hear this a lot today. It's just focusing on what we can control and focusing on our own build out and worrying about what we can control, right? And I think here we're continuing to focus on making this a player first organization. We want to partner with our players. We're really proud of our organization. If you look, we shout out the Westchester crew earlier, right? This has come a really long way. It's a credit to our players. It's a credit to our ownership group, and really the buy-in from our staff as well. I think that if we continue to pour into those areas, we'll be happy with where we end up. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you exactly what the future will hold, but I will bet on us. I do feel that we do things the right way, and I think that there's a certain type of player that wants to align with an organizational mindset such as that. So, I'm excited about 25, but for 26, I think we're prepared.
Thank you. Hey, Jonathan. We've moved from hybrid rebuild for sure, but now I get to really talk to you about positionless basketball.
Yeah.
When I look at this roster for the last few years, and again what you're building, I'm very curious how you think a very distinct veteran like Tosh Cloud fits into, especially what you're trying to build in the backcourt.
Yeah, no, thank you. I was waiting for your hybrid. Look, I think we did not anticipate that Tosh Cloud would be available this past offseason. That was a player we've had circled for a long time. You've heard me say that before. We are always chasing some players that we've had interest in, and it takes a long time to acquire those players. Tosh, we identified some years ago for what she will bring. What she will bring on court for us is two-way play. It's really important for us. I think if you look at our playoff runs, plural, over the past few seasons, we've really leaned on our defense at times. We need to get those stops. I think Tosh is a leader. She leads not only by example, but with her voice. Tosh is a giver. I can't even tell you, well, you'll know when Tosh is in the room. And it's a wonderful thing. She's a true connector. And so when you look at all of those qualities and you look at our current roster, Tosh amplifies what we already have. I think we all know the fan base will love her and she'll love the fan base, but I think Tosh is going to be incredibly important for us to get to where we want to be this year, and we're ecstatic that she's with us.
In the grand scheme of things, with the backdrop of what 2026 is kind of going to be a wild, wild west of a lot of ways, how much was it, to get Natasha and kind of build out, shore up some positions on this roster to capitalize on this championship window that you have right now, just because you don't know what could be in the near future?
Yeah, I think you said it. I mean, winning is really hard. It's really difficult in this league for good reason. Look around. There's so many good teams. And so for us, when you have a chance, when you have a real chance to do something really special, you need to be all in with that. We are all in with that. And so adding Tosh to this, adding Marine back to this, bringing players here that are on a unified mission is really important. I'm happy to talk about 26 and those things, but we're really focused on 25 right now because we feel we have an opportunity.
Jackie? Hi, Jonathan. I'm curious what the expectation for Banja is for the season. As you know, when that press release came out, it said 5 to 6 months. 5 months from March could be August, while 6 is September. Is there an expectation that she could return for the postseason?
Yeah, good question. I think, first off, heartbreaks for Banja. I think everyone in this room knows how much she means to this organization, what she means to our fan base, and how she's been a major part of our success. With B undergoing that injury, we're fully confident that she's going to make a full return, and she's going to have a great opportunity to be the healthiest she's been in some years once that happens. In terms of this season, I think it's fair to assume we will be suspending that contract. We wanted to get to camp and to really understand what we have and make sure things are playing out the way we envisioned. We're navigating a lot this year in addition to the things that we spoke on earlier with expansion and things like that. We've got Eurobasket, and we need to be really mindful and practical about not putting too much wear and tear on our existing players. That's really important, and we need to be fully formed come September. Like that's where we need to be, and we need to be hitting our stride. And I think we did a good job of that last year. For Banja, it's a situation where if we do suspend her, it opens up a roster spot. It takes that money off of our cap. We're able to carry 12 players. And then we also maintain negotiating rights next year. So as we take all that into account, I think it's more likely than not that by the start of the season, that will be the thing. And one thing I just want to say, because I know stuff goes out into the ether, suspension is a procedural term. It is in no way negative. It is just what it is. So I just want to make sure that's clear as well.
Jonathan, thank you for doing this. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Two, if I can. The first, just, and obviously you don't know until you see it, but how many players do you expect to get from the media participation part of today?
Listen, we've got the scouting report out right now, and I'm intrigued.
Looking forward to it. The actual question is, obviously this is a team with a lot of continuity over last year's champion, but as we've talked about with Tosh and Marine coming back in, there are some differences, and I'm wondering in what areas you think this team can improve on what you were able to do last year. I know it's a weird thing to ask about a championship team, but just in what areas are you looking to do better in?
No, it's a fair question. I think what we all have to be cognizant of is, like, because we won last year, it doesn't mean we have an advantage. It doesn't mean we're starting on third base and we just run home, right? This is a new journey for us. And with that new journey, continuity is a positive, and I think continuity plays out at the front end of the season. That's where we can kind of hit the ground running a little bit. But I think we've got vets and pros and Tosh and Marine that over the course of the season, you'll see them fit in and settle in for, as I said, we want to hit our stride come the end of the regular season. So that's what I'd say. In terms of what we want to improve upon, it's just build upon what we established last year, right? Leaning into our strengths. We value versatility. We value two-way play. We value shooting. I think I'm excited to see the lineup combinations that a Tosh Cloud can unlock. So with that, it's more figuring it out right now and what that really looks like. But I think by the end of the season, we'll be really happy with the acquisitions.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Ben. All right. Just on the topic of player experience, a couple weeks ago at the draft, Kathy announced plans that the league had to create like a new kind of security task force to combat hate and think about player safety. Obviously, there was a situation last fall involving Stewie. Is the team this year, have you guys taken any different kinds of measures or had conversations about player safety this season in a manner that you didn't in past years?
Yeah, I think we have in past years. I think we were correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were the first team to employ a full-time security, and we did that entering 23. We've added an additional security member this year, and we're going to continue to try to lead in that category. It's really important. With more media coverage comes more visibility, comes more opportunity for unfortunate events to happen as well, right? So we really want to guard against that and just make sure that our players feel safe and they feel taken care of so that they can just focus on basketball at the end of the day.
We'll go over to Andrew.
Yep.
Sorry.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, Jonathan. Great to see you, JK. Wanted to ask you first how the offseason was for you personally in terms of anything that you enjoyed doing and how that offseason went for you, and any other move from any team in this wild offseason made you go wild the most?
Well, the first question, no offseason. That's the season, right? So it was really exciting to just get right back to it and try to envision what this team could look like on paper, and then actually go out and execute that. In terms of moves, I think there's so many around the league, and that's what I was alluding to when we talk about league-wide storylines. You look at just going through it, Atlanta, right? They kind of zagged, and they went with two bigs, and that's going to be really fascinating, especially with Carl being there. Really excited to see what they look like. You've got Sloot back in Chicago, which is something that I think is special for Sloot, and I think them bringing Tyler over there and the roster build-out that Jeff has done has been great. Indiana. Doing what they did. So there's not like one move that I think is like a wow, but I just think this league has gotten so much better. And that's going to mean you've got a lot of great basketball every single night, and that's something to be excited about.
Hey, Jonathan. Good morning. Two-part question. Just the one draft pick this year, Aja Kane, what you see in her, where do you think she will be in a few years? And then For the second question, obviously, player unions trying to get a new CBA, can't negotiate with players or sign anyone. How does that affect the players you have rights with overseas, and how you can communicate with them and their teams and things like that?
Great question. So first of all, we're really excited about that draft pick. It's something where you look at a player like a Marine Fatouks who we took in the 3rd round not too long ago, right? And you just see that development. We're in a league, obviously, that doesn't have a development league. And so in a way, we try to use overseas basketball to kind of lead that development for us. And we continue to monitor and check in as appropriate. So in terms of where she'll be in a few years, you're looking at an elite rim protector. She's very raw offensively right now. We want to see that how that projects in the future. But it's a player that, when you look at asset management and draft picks in our league, you're all going to see it really soon. The waivers, right? It happens. So from an asset management perspective, we like to stash those picks in late rounds. Sometimes it's domestic and we bring them in for camp probably a year later, and sometimes it's international, and we really wait on that until the time is right. Time right can mean when the player is ready, and also means when we have a need, and when those two things meet each other, that's when we bring that player over. In terms of how we communicate with them, we do regular check-ins. We try to be as communicative as possible. I think it's important that they know that this is a place that is an option in the future, and it's played well for us. Can you remind me if there's a second part of that question?
Yeah, how is that communication relationship affected with international players if a lockout happens?
That's a good question. I mean, we hold their rights, so there is no negotiation to be had until there's a contract to offer. So in terms of if there was, a work stoppage or something like that, I mean, we would still hold their rights, and then when we're back in business, right, we were able to offer a contract. So it wouldn't have an impact there.
Hey Jonathan, thanks for taking the time. I just want to double down on the international players talk. There's just been such a wave of international players coming into this league, and really American sports the past couple of years. Just what does that process look like? How far ahead do you guys look ahead into those international players, and just how important, and you kind of touched on how important is international play to WNBA?
Yeah, look, I'm really blessed to have a phenomenal staff that is always watching. Dustin Gray, remember, a former assistant coach, he leads our player development group along with Ben Dole, and they're always watching. And so we really take pride in being years in advance in terms of scouting internationally and domestically. International basketball, it's a very high level, and I've spoken about this before. Oftentimes, these are players that have been pros for a very long time, and they played in really high stakes games. So you look at a player for us, Leo Fibish last year, right? Just go to game 5, overtime, jump ball, kick to the corner, 3 within a second, right? She shines when those lights are bright. She's done it a lot. So that's what we look for internationally, and it's why we're so high on that. I think you're going to see this year, especially in Golden State, right? Like, there's going to be new players coming in our league that are like, wow, where was this, right? And that's really exciting. It's not anything new. If you look at the NBA, they hit their international scene, bursting on the scene, whatever you want to call it, when Dirk got there, and you go through the draft picks from then on out. Now you got Jokic, you got Giannis. So it just, to me, there's so much excitement in women's basketball around the world. You've got it domestically here with a phenomenal college game, and then you got it internationally as well. So it's a great time.
Hey, Jonathan.
Hey.
You've been talking about 26 obviously a bit today.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fun to think about that this league basically could blow up next year and every team could be redistributed and rethought of? And I think Nick joked that it's basically like a fantasy football draft potentially next year if it all happens that way.
Yeah.
I mean, is it fun as a gym to think, hey, this thing could be completely different next year? Every team that's last this year could get 7 great players and then become first next year, and you guys could get even more players next year if it works out.
I like your positive spin on that. That's great. I think optionality is exciting. I think something that's unprecedented is exciting. I think it's, like I said, unprecedented. So it's incredibly rare to have an opportunity to reset. So no, I mean, I think it's a positive. I really do. And we'll see what the league looks like from a rules perspective, a cap perspective, all of those things, and be able to make the best decisions we can at that time once we have that information. But you look at other professional sports leagues, the interest usually surrounds player movement. It usually surrounds, the possibilities. And so I think it's a situation we haven't seen before, but one we'll be prepared for. And like you said, hopefully it goes positive.
Hey, Jonathan, right here. Good morning. When looking back at your journey as GM of the Liberty, which part of your development that you're most proud about?
Which part? I'd say it's probably what isn't fun to write about, which is managing people. I think that's been a major growth area for me. I think oftentimes when we sit in these rooms, you think of a GM and it's about roster construction for good reason, but it's probably 30% of the job. There's 70% more, and that's departmental build outs. And then it's hiring people within those departments, and then it's managing those people. I've always said the vision here, the philosophy here is if we didn't have any financial obligations, if we didn't have any bills to pay, would you show up here for free? Is this a place that you would really love to come to work? And I feel we're at a place right now that's really special in that regard. So I think that's an area of growth that I'm most proud of.
Go over to Jeff. Oh, sorry, Rachel, and then Jeff. Thank you.
Hey, Jonathan. Valkyries are the first expansion franchise in this league since 2008, I believe. What do you think of how that team has been constructed, both on the court and also just everything surrounding it, ticket sales?
If only I knew somebody there that was, had a say. First off, I just want to say how incredibly proud I am of Ohema. I think that she's doing a wonderful job there. It is really surreal to see her in this position. And, I'm getting chills right now talking about it. So I'm really excited about what they're doing. I think their business side has been phenomenal. You're seeing the season ticket numbers come out. That building's going to be rocking when they open. And so for me, listen, I've been in this league. You might not know it. I've been in this league for around 15 years in different capacities. And to see this league with a team like Golden State, a market like Golden State, about to do what they're going to do, I pinched myself. It's good for our league. I think they're going about things in terms of their roster construction the right way. They're not leaning in like this is the great team. They're figuring out what that great team will be, as they should. And I'm really excited to visit there this year and to travel there this year, and I'm excited to watch from afar.
Go to Jeff.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you for taking the time. Everyone's talking about 2025, 2026. I was hoping to ask about 2024. So how vindicating was it to see your long-term faith vindicated with last year's group? And what did this ongoing championship journey teach you about yourself as both a basketball mind and perhaps a human being as well?
Well, first of all, I think that, listen, this fan base is really one of one. And if you were in a room with all the other GMs, they're going to tell you the same exact thing. But I really mean it. And I haven't been here 28 years. But I felt like it because of this fan base. It's been hard to be a Liberty fan from the sense of it. We've been a nomadic franchise. We've bounced around, right? And so you've had to really want to be a fan. It's also been hard at times to find, games on TV. It hasn't been as easy as it is now, right? And so to do that for them was everything. It really, truly was. And I think when you saw that parade, you felt that turnout. I was on the bus. I don't know how parades work. I was very wrapped up in trying to get this done. And I was on the bus with my wife heading to it. And I turned to her, I was like, I hope people show up, And we got on the float and turned a corner, and it was thousands of people. And it was then that it really landed the impact of this. So for that, that's what that was for. That was checkbox one. And I want to be reminded the second part of your question, but I do want to go on to say that I want to be really clear that was phenomenal. It means everything, and we're going to have our moment on the 17th to celebrate that. But that is not the end goal here. This is something where I'm very cognizant of the responsibility that I have to work for this franchise and to work for this ownership group. And we want this franchise to be a legacy franchise. We want this franchise to be iconic. It only happens through winning, and that only happens through your daily habits. And so right now we are on a mission and we're all aligned to focus on those daily habits so that we're in a position to potentially do that again. And so last year was great. It's awesome. But we're focused on this year. And then I'm happy you said something about my growth or.
Yes, what did basically last year, the ongoing journey to win, not just last year, but to continue to win, what does that teach you about yourself as both a basketball decision maker and perhaps?
Yeah, sorry. I think I learned to win at the highest of levels, you need top end talent with depth. Like those are the ingredients. You need health, you need all of those things to go your way, but that's what I learned mostly as a basketball decision maker. I think I learned also as a person, just patience. You're not going to win a title on game 1 or game 30. But you do start to win it from those habits, and you start to like form a snowball effect where it gets faster and faster and faster towards the end. You just want to make sure you're doing it right along the way. So I'd say that's what I learned.
Appreciate your time and insight. Thank you.
You got it.
We'll go, Perry.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Oh. So, Jonathan, is there any additional pressure or urgency being the defending champ in the last year of semi-certainty in this league? And then kind of part 2, does the fact that things might change shift how you might manage or make basketball decisions this year?
Good questions. Pressure, external, like we're just focused internally on us. That's really what this is here. So we're just focused on us right now, getting better today, right? And we've got a game next week and a great opportunity to go to Oregon and do some things out there. So we're just really focused on us. External pressures are earned, but we're focused on the possibilities within. So I'd say that. In terms of decision making, yeah, I think that we might have an opportunity to have additional cap space as we head into the season. That could mean more optionality with roster construction potential in season via trade, signing. Like there's more optionality there. When you look at the expansion draft, like we don't yet know the rules of what that looks like with 2 teams. If there's opportunities, as we find out what those rules are, we'll look at them. But I don't necessarily know that anything will be different.
Thank you.
We'll go, Alfred.
Hey, Jonathan. Picking back to the international side of things, over this past year in international basketball, the Liberty organization has been represented in the Olympic gold medal game, the 3rd place game, the EuroLeague final, the Turkish KBSL finals, and currently in the Spanish playoffs with Leo. What do you think it says of the Liberty's ability to find success not just here, but also in a diverse, high-level international field?
What it says about like our success?
Yeah. What it says about the Liberty's
I mean,
ability?
it's just a universal language, basketball, right? It really is. And I'm proud to have these players here. Maureen Johannes was my first signing ever. And it's funny, right? We were just talking the other day. She's actually the longest tenured, I believe, Liberty player. Inconsistent seasons, but she goes back that far, right? And so I think it's just been in our DNA for a while now. And you're just seeing the growth of the game. We are proud to contribute to that. I think something that does need to be said in terms of national team play, it can't be overstated. National teams mean everything to these players. They've grown up in these programs. And so I know that there might be a misconception sometimes about, where's the allegiance to the WNBA team? Trust me, they're bought in. But they've got it in their DNA about their nation and their country, and they want to represent that, and we fully support that. So that's what I'm most proud of, is the partnership between us and those players, and I think we're growing the game, and I'm really proud of that.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to Shanae. Alfred, that one. Thank you.
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, I'm sure you've watched Unrivaled. I was curious to know your thoughts on Unrivaled, as far as like the lifestyle side of it all, and if there's anything that you plan to implement with the Liberty this season.
Real quick on the can you just be a little more specific? Specific on the lifestyle part of it?
Yeah, like the social aspect, just showing like the personalities of the players and the storylines, because I feel like over the last few years, there's been a need or a want for storylines for players. So I feel like now is like the perfect time.
Thank you. I did watch Unrivaled. I actually had the opportunity to go out there. Sandy and I went. I think that Stewie and Fee did a phenomenal job, and obviously all the people there to put on that operation. It's a tremendously heavy lift, I can only imagine. I felt it was really cool to see our players, talking about WNBA players domestically playing and competing and building relationships. It was new and it was exciting. In terms of the lifestyle aspect, I think that's the great thing about our league are the personalities of our players and the stories behind those personalities. In terms of if we're going to try to incorporate any of that, I don't oversee that side of the business, but I do think, I mean, I've seen some of the content that we've put out in camp, and it's tapping into just that, their personalities. And so I think we'll continue to lean into that, but it's something that I think every team should, because it's content that kind of writes itself, but you really get to know the player, the person behind the player. And that I think is really important.
Thank you. We'll go to Kenny. Jennifer.
Yeah, kind of, hi Jonathan.
Hi.
Piggybacking off of that, the practice facility, what kind of message does it send that the kind of investment, you said earlier that the Liberty are trying to be a player first organization, so, and obviously a lot can happen in the next few years, but what kind of message does it send about the investment and what kind of place that Brooklyn will be a place to come?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just says we're here and we're not going anywhere. And that's Joe and Clara, right? That's them. And like I said, I'm just incredibly humbled by the greenlighting this facility. The part of it that I think is incredibly special is the design elements from our players. I think that's really important. I can sit up here all day and say we're going to have this type of tech and we're going to have this type of recovery and all of these spaces. It doesn't matter. I'm not the one that's really utilizing it. I just thankful to have a window. But for it to be designed by our players for their different needs, I think is also going to help us future-proof this for the next iteration of Liberty roster, right? We want this to be incredibly sustainable and special for everybody that walks through those doors. I'm also just very excited to continue to get into the community. That's a new space in Brooklyn for us. So for us to further our roots is always a great opportunity, and we're really looking forward to that, trust me.
Okay, we'll take a few more follow-ups, starting with Ben.